Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and today we're going to be... Well, first of all, we're going to be using the piano songs. Second of all, we are going to be doing a build based upon the Druid class. I know a number of you thinking, oh, it's about time. What took you so long? Mostly because I wasn't 100% sure how I wanted to do it. So, to be completely forthcoming with it, Druids are... Pardon me. Druids are a priest-like class that use the forces of nature, both as weapon and shield. Their whole point is to try to act as sort of the balancing force between nature and the rest of the world. Here's the issue with that. They use a lot of natural elements. Much of what's in the game is something that a druid could use, very similar to a wizard. But for purposes of how... Pardon me. For purposes of how the game works, I'm going to stick mostly to things like, wind, plant-like magic, and things that have to do with animals. So, when we think animals, I want you to think like blurring falconry, like that's literally an animal. The dragons are actually, in my opinion, more fantastical beasts, not necessarily just animals. But because of the limitations of the build, I can go along with that. Stalwart defenders, I mean, that would count as horses, I guess. I don't know, take that how you will. That's not an animal, but it definitely counts. Like, there's nothing here that's necessarily an animal. But I would definitely count frozen bait, because that's a big old sharky boy. And I'm probably not going to use any chaos spells for this one. So, earth, wind, water, and animals. So, modeled after a druid character that I actually use, I'm going to use Bladed Vine as my basic. For my standard, I think there's no question we have to go with the frozen bait since we're talking about animals. As far as the signature, there is a couple of things I was thinking. I was thinking blurring falconry. I was thinking maybe razor petals, because, flowers. Prickly ballet is a maybe. Tidal blast could also work. So could aqua breaker. So could aqua beam. And most wind spells are actually pretty much up to the task. So it's just a matter of, how do I want to do this? Oh, I suppose some lightning would work too, like Thunderline could be considered a druidic ability. Because, yeah, druids are allowed to call lightning. So, I've got options. I think we're going to use Razor Burst, because we've got this to help get enemies off our backs. Now, have a quick look. Yeah, not sure about any of that. And things like Shattering Strike would work just fine, because that's just taking the literal earth and just creating shrapnel by breaking a boulder. So that could definitely work. Seismic Entry would be like Earthshaker. I could do that. That's the thing. This is actually a little bit more difficult than one would think. Like, I was also thinking that... Oh, what's the name of that spell? Oh yeah, Violent Thornstorm. I just remembered it as I was scrolling to it. That could also be used, as that's just, you know, plants. So let's see if there's... So there are 2 plant-like ones here. Technically 3. There's Razor Petals. Pardon me. There's Prickly Ballet. And there's Toxic Bolus. Which one do I prefer? Or, if I want to go with something different... None of these really resemble natural lightning, so I'm not sure I want to use any of those. And underwater, I mean, Snowflake Chakram seems pretty natural. So does Tidal Blast. So does Aqua Breaker. Kind of. I mean, at this point we're getting into something more fantastical, but... Actually, I think between the Shark and the Aqua Breaker, we've got something here. So, I'm gonna go with that. That seems very druidic, doesn't it? Then, of course, I'm going to limit everything else to, you know, what seems natural. As far as the robe... I kind of want to use one of the 2 green robes. And of course, this one is the best one. I mean, of the green ones. And starting Relic. Then we can finally get this show on the road. So... there's really no shortage of things that could work as a sort of druidic thing. And if I go Limo's Leaf, that gives us a little more room to work with. But why don't I take it a step further? Why don't we start with the Breezy Gray Canvas? Get ourselves a little bit of a nice defensive start. So now we wait for the retro floor plan, where before I do anything else, I want to say I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I hope that you've been looking forward to this build. There's still plenty of classes to do, and I do sometimes get lost in the sauce when I'm coming up with a build. I keep thinking to myself, alright, let's come up with something really interesting and really creative. I keep forgetting, oh yeah, I'm doing this class thing. Which, I know it sounds a little dismissive to call it that class thing, but... no, I actually enjoy doing these builds. Getting to talk about these, you know, classical kind of character archetypes that, you know, we all kind of somewhat understand, but we don't really think about too much. So it's nice to have a bit of an analytical lens. Here we go. So, Dark Sage, is there a reason why you're not really working with fire on this one? That's mostly because of how I tend to think of druids. Is there any specific place I want to start? Not particularly, but I think just because of what my run is kind of focused around, I'm gonna start here at the Chilling Dungeons. So, in being followers of essentially nature and the sort of like nature gods and what they stand for, druids are oftentimes seen as kind of like defenders of nature. So as part of how that works, at least in earlier editions of D&D, the Druids had to be of a true neutral alignment. I'll grab that. That's Aqua Arc. Alright. And the whole reason for that is because their whole thing was protecting the balance. Which, because of how that was phrased when I first started learning the rules to Dungeons & Dragons, it made me think, okay, even though there's nothing saying that Druids can't use fire-based magic, okay, you're starting to piss me off. Stop pushing the other goddamn golem into me. Fuck. But it gave me the impression that fire was kind of a no-no, as the whole point wasn't to blight nature, it was to protect it. But I would be lying if I said that fire wasn't a natural element. It absolutely is. Otherwise, there would be no such thing as wildfires. Matter of fact, wildfires are kind of a nature's way of resetting things a little bit. Like, whenever you hear about a wildfire consuming a forest and all that, we're taught to think, oh, that's so awful. And, like, on one respect, yeah, I suppose, but in another respect, okay, I've got 3 groups of enemies coming after me. This is fucked up. Could you please go away? Christ, I think I definitely chose the worst place to start. Which, yes, is supposed to be the intention, so I can get the worst out of the way, but God, I didn't realize how bad it was going to be. Okay, Mr. Shark and I are going to be very happy once we're done with this place. So I guess it just kind of becomes, on one hand, I'm aware that fire is a natural element, but because I also associate it with destroying nature and not necessarily defending it, I also think of it as being kind of like a non-druidic thing, which I know is kind of far from the truth. In this case, I'm not using it because I need to limit it somehow, because otherwise Druids pretty much don't have any sort of limitation as to what they can do, and at least as far as spells and Wizard of Legend are concerned. So I'm limiting it to animal-based spells, and then wind, water, and earth, because otherwise, yeah, there is nothing saying that Druids have to have any sort of elemental limitations. It just has to be magic of the nature sphere. And as we've just gone over, just about everything counts in that regard. And there's nothing else here that's really tickling my pink here, so... And no, that's not the right term to use, but fuck it, I said it anyway. Alright, upgrade Sharky Boy. All the rest of those are basics, and I have a basic I want. Yeah, Sharkman! I definitely don't want that. Alright, we're just gonna move on. But like I said, in reality, I'm well aware of the idea that druids are not necessarily that poorly limited in their spell choice. Matter of fact, the druid that I've been playing, Odette, has made a big deal out of her a combination of abilities, which is she uses the Bladed Vines. I believe, yeah, it's just got the same name, the Bladed Vine cantrip, because she was designed as kind of like a whip user. And then she will combine that with Flame Blade and have like this powerful flaming whip that she uses in combat. Like, another thing that I'm actually pretty okay with, despite where I started on my tabletop role-playing journey, is the idea of not forcing druids to be of true neutral alignment. Because it made them too difficult to play. People weren't all that interested in playing them because they had to have this very weird, restrictive alignment that's really... that really didn't mesh with most parties. Okay. We're a very aquatic druid. Which, you know, that's fine. There is nothing saying that a druid can't be of the oceanic or, you know, water-based seafaring variety. It's actually a very interesting idea that I should try playing around with one of these days. Because even Odette is just kind of... like, well, for one, she's a Circle of the Moon druid, so a lot of her abilities are based on her wild shaping. But all of the spells that she casts are, you know, pretty typical of your normal druidic fare, shape, earth, or I believe it's called stone shape, then earth tremor and, you know, gust of wind, things like that. But if I were to design a druid that just full-on uses just whatever element or to specialize, I think I would want to do an aquatic druid. That sounds, honestly, like a lot of fun, and... well, you guys know me, I like using water and ice as things for my characters, because... honestly, I think water and ice get slept on way too much. No thank you. Grab that. Grab that. What are you? I don't care. Okay, so now what I would really like to see is something that boosts my offense. Right now I have nothing of the nature aside from Singing Bowl, and as you probably well know, that only affects one spell at a time. There we go. La 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 la. Alright, there we go. We can now get out of here and move on to another... Again, that's allowable, but I'm not going to take it. I'm going to limit myself to earth, water, wind, and things that involve animals. Of which, as you saw, there aren't many, so I'm basically bringing that up as a means of reminding you guys. No, you get out of here with that boulder stuff, sir. There's really nothing here I like. And again, things that are, by all rights, technically allowable. Like if I were doing just a regular old Druid thing and not limiting myself, I would gladly take Blazing Lariat. Okay, could definitely use a damage up at this point. Though admittedly, I'm not against the idea of the cooldown improvement. Are you gonna go down anytime soon? Jeebus. Grab that. Definitely grab that. Because we are rocking a lot of water-based spells. Excuse me, game. Could you know, allow me movement? Okay, that room just made me mad. Like, it was literally the game telling me, no, we really think you should be dead now. I will say it time and time again. These rooms with the spikes in the corners, worst rooms in the game. Of course, this is coming from the perspective of someone who's constantly playing with the retro floor plan. Because otherwise, the answer to that question goes to any room that involves the beam Cyclopses. Okay, well, we'll have an easier time taking care of mercantile stuff once I find the boss room. Also, if I could maybe not be dead by the end of this room, that would be nice. Okay, I need a healing potion. That is imperative. Alright, we're gonna take the Tomahawk, we're gonna donate it to Nocturne, and see if he gives us anything particularly, you know, druidic. Oh, this is particularly druidic. Darksage, you should take Rebounding Icicles. Heh, no. I'll grab this, but I'm not sure how much I'm going to actually use it. Perfect. My only issue with Scales of Babylon in this build is that it's not really what the build was designed around, so it's rather difficult to use. Like, it's a good spell, but it's very close range in comparison to everything else. So, how does the D&D Druid mesh, or how does it compare to things like Druids in video games? Well, the thing is, you don't really see a lot of Druids in video games. Like, the only Druids I can really think of in video games are, like, when you pick the Druid job in Final Fantasy V. Like, that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head, and that's not really a character that's a Druid, that's just picking a class. Which, to be fair, still perfectly fine. It's still a Druid, I'm just saying. There aren't many, like, full-on Druid characters that I can think of. But it does boil down to a lot of the same ideas. Their abilities are all very much honed around nature, using animals, which is something that they have in common with Rangers. It's part of why Ranger is a very popular multi-class for Druid. Just because the theme fits. They're both characters that bask in nature and use it as both their sword and shield. Why not? Hello, got anything good? Kind of. I'm not looking to summon an agent, but there you go. Wind Flurry is okay, but... No, I don't think this is the right build for it. Like, this build is very heavily based around water, so... And partially accidentally so. Oh, hello, sir. See, is there anything that I want to sell you? Not really. Go back here. Grab this and this. Alright, well, aside from that one room with the spikes in the corners, not a bad floor. Now let's just take care of Atlas and be done with the whole mess. I'm dumb. I almost never get hit by that mace to the face, but this time around... Nice. Mag Sphere. I don't know, that almost seems more like an Artificer thing. Which, that could be fun. How would I go about doing Artificer, though? I'll have to think about that one. And since this is a chance for me to talk about my Druid, Odette, I should point out... One thing that I never really did talk about with Odette is that she is a Druid, yes, but she's also a Dragonborn. I guess as such it would be okay to take a dragon spell, so... But do I want to? Oh, it is wind, though. Yeah, this one's okay. You know what? Screw you. Okay, golems are just pissing me off. Just anything that can go wrong involving a golem seems like it is going to go wrong this time around. As for the variety of Dragonborn that she is an Amethyst Dragonborn, which brings two things into question. One, her odd breath weapon, which instead of being like, you know, fire or lightning or anything like that, is essentially what is described as a lozenge of force energy. And at this point you're probably going, Dark Sage, what the fuck does that mean? It means whenever I go to use her breath weapon, instead of it just being a big blast of energy, what it essentially is just a sticky like oval of force magic that she spits at people, and then it just kind of explodes. So there's no element necessarily attached to it. It's just, you know, to be fair, it's a little gross, but. But the other thing that allows is that Amethyst Dragons have some natural psionic abilities, so that's been really, really interesting to play around with in the game. And because she has just so many varied abilities, she's kind of become this, like... She's become this character that can kind of do whatever. And, yeah, you could say, oh, I bet you min-maxed it that way, and only partially. Like, I knew I was creating a Circle of the Moon Druid, and that she would end up using her wild shapes in lots of interesting and creative ways. And that because she was going to spend a lot of time wild shaped, there's going to be a lot of... There's going to be a lot of time spent on the front lines. What I wasn't quite expecting is how things ended up shaping up in the story that we were doing. So, I mean, she's a character that can fight, she can use magic, she can communicate telepathically. Like, she's just one of those characters that can do a lot of stuff. Actually, I quite like that about the character. She's just a very versatile character that can get a lot done. That's really nice. Alright. I think we're good. Okay, I need to get rid of these mooks. And of course, now there's 2 more that I need to deal with. The other thing I really enjoyed about using that character, and this is more about the Druid class itself, is that there were very interesting times where I got to commune with nature and either get really interesting ideas, or what? Guys, I think you're not making sense again. But it ended up her ability to commune with nature, as by, you know, the class that she is, actually worked out into her being able to speak to and acquire 3 different animal followers, 2 of which were actually special spirits, and I found that to be really interesting. That was just our DM just really being creative and throwing out some ideas on the spot. Pardon me. Now, of the spirits that she befriended, one of them was an earth spirit that essentially took the shape of a, what is it, like 10-foot tall giant warthog. And yeah, I would be lying if I said that I didn't enjoy that character maybe a little too much. Like, I really enjoyed that character. Wouldn't mind seeing him make a return later on. This is probably the least useful thing I have. Grab the Sidewinder's badge. Alright, use the portal, stupid. And then the other actual, like, spirit that she got was essentially, it was an electric unicorn, so very much, you know, aping Monster Hunter, but I'm not going to complain about having a Kieran following me. Then Mr. Big Pig was actually an idea that was aped from Princess Mononoke. Again, certainly not complaining. Okay, I think what I want to do is let's temporarily drop this. Let's grab the Super Carrot Cake. Let's make the Dependable Cake. Which, although nice, isn't really all that useful, so... we'll just give Nox a cake. I mean, how many people actually go out of their way to give Nox a cake? I bet he really appreciates it. Alright, and we're off. There we go. So, I'm curious, how many of you have tried playing a Druid in your tabletop RPG games? Or I guess, in any game, I suppose. Like, it's kind of weird that Druids are one of those character classes that often gets overlooked when it comes time to make a story about. Alright, I just got my ass kicked. Beautiful. Ooh, watery tendrils. Yeah, what the hell? Guess the question is, will I use it or not? Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with this, actually, but one of these days I'm kind of thinking I want to try doing a build based around the watery tendril. Because haven't we all wanted to do, essentially, Japanese hentai, the build? And right now, people are in two camps about that, going, Dark Sage, that's nasty. Why would I want to do that? The other half now going, that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of it? Okay, can you go away? God, I am so sick of these stupid mobs. Go away forever. Though, strangely, this build is just not very good against bosses. Okay, well, we can just drop that, then pick up the merchant's cart. But you know, I think I want to get rid of that too, and then pick up Shiva's water bottle. And it took long enough to get some damage bonuses. Ooh, nice little overlap there. Damn. Okay, that did not work out well at all. This is a long fight. Okay, that was a little rough there at the end, but hey, it worked out. Trust me when I say in D&D, Druids in their combination of summoning and shape-shifting and whatnot, it all works out very well together. Though, I oftentimes ask myself, is it really worth it to take a spell that requires charging? But that's a whole nother topic entirely. For now, I want to say thank you very much for tuning in to this latest episode of, class-based Wizard of Legend builds. I hope you're enjoying them so far. There's still plenty more to see and plenty more to do in that regard, so by all means, keep tuned in. I plan on trying to get a few more of these pumped out before the end of the year, which is coming up very quickly. I, of course, very much appreciate you guys spending some of your free time here with me today. I hope you had a fantastic day or night, or will have, present and future tense words. I hope you're having a fantastic day or night wherever you may happen to be, and I will catch you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and you take care, everybody.